Have you ever stood in front of a mirror, looked at your reflection, and suddenly realized there was a profound sadness in your eyes? Maybe today, that adult self smiles confidently, but a child within quietly weeps. Childhood hurts, the fear of making mistakes, the feeling of loneliness. None of these have ever truly disappeared. The inner child, that internal child, is still waiting to be nurtured and healed. Join me as we listen to that cry and explore how to bring love back to the unfinished pieces of your childhood. Carl Jung once taught that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. While Jung didn't directly use the term inner child, the image of the inner child is a common way for us to identify unsatisfied childhood emotional parts. The inner child is an archetype representing pain, the longing for unconditional love, protection, and encouragement that the adult ego sometimes neglects. Growing up in strict families, our past might hold harsh criticism, the fear of making mistakes, or isolation from not being understood. These memories always exist in the unconscious, hidden beneath a mature persona or pushed down into a fearful shadow. As a result, we might become self-conscious, withdraw from challenges, or experience emotional outbursts when even a small reminder touches an old wound. Our argument today is that listening to and nurturing your inner child will help you release old fears, boost self-confidence, and find inner peace. By writing letters to your 10-year-old self, drawing beautiful or scary memories, and asking simple questions in a journal. What is the child within you afraid of? What makes it feel safe? You'll create a space for healing. When you allow the child within to be heard and loved, you not only heal past wounds, but also awaken inner strength to live a more free and fulfilling life. First, let's imagine your soul as a 3-story house. The ground floor is your conscious mind, where you live your daily life, deal with work, and interact with others. The top floor is your deep unconscious, the realm of dreams, intuition, and hidden images. And the inner child is that small attic room, once filled with laughter and running around, but perhaps now locked away by childhood traumas. Inner child, the soul's childhood. Playground. The inner child isn't just about deprivation or trauma, it's a precious gem containing creative energy, kindness, and a desire for protection. Every time you unexpectedly smile at a simple compliment, or unconsciously hum a childhood tune, that's the inner child's vitality. Conversely, when you feel empty despite achieving great success, it might be because that attic room is still silent, its curtains drawn. Recalling memories. Close your eyes and recall a sudden summer rain, the sound of splashing through puddles, the feeling of uninhibited freedom, or the moment you secretly took colored paper to draw a card for your parents, seeing their surprised and loving eyes. When these images appear, you've touched the precious gem of your inner child, where pure joy and self-belief reside. Persona, society's armor. If the inner child is the attic room, then the persona is the facade of the house. You meticulously decorate it to welcome guests. The persona allows you to present yourself in ways society expects. The model employee, the ideal friend, the impressive partner. But for too long, this decoration can become a barrier, preventing you from reconnecting with your inner depth. Pressure to be strong. You always smile in public, even if your heart is bleeding after a failure, because your persona says no one wants to see you fall apart. Fear of revealing flaws. When you make a mistake, you quickly hide it or blame circumstances, instead of admitting, I made a mistake, and I need forgiveness. The inner child's voice. Being silenced, the child within wants to say, I need to feel safe and hugged. The persona shouts, save face, don't let anyone see you're weak. As Fraudster, when the persona reigns supreme, that attic room remains quiet. No matter how much lipstick you apply or how skillfully you choose your words, the inner child cannot truly rejoice. The inner child is the core containing childhood joy and pain, holding a wellspring of creative energy. The persona is the mask you wear to adapt to society, but when overused, it masks the inner child's authentic voice. The first step in the healing journey is to identify these two components. You need to know which part of your soul's house is lacking light and which paint layer is covering the attic room. Shadow, the hiding place of childhood. Fears. Have you ever found yourself suddenly overly irritable or avoiding seemingly normal situations just because a strange memory briefly surfaced. That's the shadow speaking. According to Jung, the shadow is the unconscious part that contains everything we deem unacceptable: anger, low self-esteem, jealousy, or the fear of failure. And the inner child is often buried deep within the shadow, because its childhood wounds haven't been healed. A typical example: you flinch when you hear a small shout from a distance. That could be an alarm bell from the child who was once severely scolded every time they made a mistake. Consequence: instead of rationally solving the problem, you react by avoiding or exploding emotionally, escalating tension in work and personal relationships. When you honestly look into your shadow, acknowledging hidden fears, anger, or sadness, you'll discover the deep roots of these reactions. They are the unheard cries of your inner child. Benefits of connecting with and healing your inner child: reduced fight or flight. Response: when the child within is comforted, you no longer overreact to minor triggers. Instead of panicking and avoiding, you can stay calm and solve problems rationally. Unleashed creative energy. The inner child embodies spontaneity and a thirst for learning. When it's nurtured, you'll find new ideas emerge, and the flame of creativity burns brighter. Increased self-esteem and confidence. Once the child within hears words of encouragement, "You are worthy of love," you no longer doubt your self-worth. Every time you ask yourself, "Am I good enough?" you'll have a firm answer: "I am good, because I was once a brave child." Deeper relationship connections. When you understand your past wounds, you'll know how to set healthy boundaries and give genuine love to others, because you've practiced self-love first. Mind-opening questions and journaling prompts. To begin your journey of connecting with your inner child, don't rush into the most painful memories. Start with gentle questions, allowing yourself to comfortably discover and touch your emotions. What is the child within you afraid of? Quickly jot down the first 3 to 5 fears that come to mind. What makes it feel protected? Write about safe experiences, even if it's just a hug, a compliment, or being read a bedtime story. What do you want to say to your 10-year-old self? Write a short letter from the perspective of a protector, comforting and encouraging. What is the most beautiful memory you had as a child? Describe it using all 5 senses: colors, sounds, smells, touch, and taste. What is the scariest memory you want to reenact to give it a different ending? Sketch a picture or write a new script where you come to rescue that child. The shadow contains the inner child's fears and traumas, leading to uncontrolled reactions when unaddressed. Connecting with your inner child helps reduce stress, ignite creativity, boost confidence, and improve relationship quality. Simple journaling questions are a safe starting point, bringing the light of consciousness into every unconscious corner so you can begin your healing journey. Case 1. Emily, 30. The burden of perfection from childhood. Emily grew up in a strict New Jersey family where her parents prioritized academic achievement. Every time her grades dropped even 1%, she'd receive intense scolding or even be required to write hundreds of "I must do better" lines in a self-reflection. Gradually, the sound of "no mistakes allowed" became deeply ingrained in the little girl's mind, creating a perfect persona from her earliest steps. When Emily grew up and joined a financial firm in Manhattan, that persona became a solid armor. She was always on time, meticulous in every report, and almost never expressed differing opinions to avoid criticism. On the surface, colleagues called her Thoughtful Emily, or Emily who never makes mistakes. Yet beneath that facade, her inner child still ached with fear. "If I make a mistake, I'm worthless." Signs of inner hurt, persistent anxiety. Every night before bed, Emily still wondered if there was a meeting minute she hadn't reviewed carefully, or a spreadsheet entry she'd mistyped. She constantly checked emails even after going home, unable to delegate responsibility to others. Difficulty expressing emotions. For years, Emily didn't dare cry or show fatigue in front of her boss, fearing being judged as incompetent. The last time she shed tears was when she was an 8-year-old girl, after hearing harsh reprimands from her mother. Hidden self-doubt. Despite reaching a senior analyst position, Emily felt she didn't deserve it. She often told herself, "I'm just lucky, not truly talented," because the child within still believed that achievement was the measure of her worth. Inner child healing journey. Writing a letter to her 10-year-old self. Emily started by writing a letter to her 10-year-old self. My dear, your parents just want you to be better every day, but you also deserve to be loved even when you make mistakes. Every time you doodle or sing off key, you're still a lovely little girl. Through warm words, Emily listened and felt the comfort emanating from within herself, allowing the child's voice to be heard. Drawing childhood memories, she spent a weekend evening sketching her old study room, the desk where she used to study late, the yellow lamp casting shadows on the wall. In the drawing, she added pink and green, colors of hope, unlike the gloomy memory she had before. This act was like rewriting the story, allowing the little girl in the drawing to feel the warmth she'd never experienced before. Daily journaling prompts. Every morning, Emily opened her journal and asked, "What is the child within me afraid of today?" She quickly jotted down 2 to 3 ideas. Afraid of a report error, afraid of being judged negatively. Then she asked, "What makes it feel safe?" Emily answered, "A small compliment from a colleague or taking time off to relax." Through this, she learned to recognize her inner needs instead of confining herself to the work constantly formula. Sharing and seeking support. No longer keeping secrets, Emily joined an online inner child healing group where people shared letters, drawings, and feelings each week. Receiving empathy, she felt less alone and gained the courage to express weaknesses instead of constantly hiding them behind her persona. Initial results. After a month of practice, Emily felt a change. She no longer checked emails in the middle of the night, dared to say, "I need time off to recharge," and most importantly, she knew that her self-worth wasn't measured by KPIs or perfect reports. Her inner child, when heard and cherished, transformed into an inner motivation, helping her maintain work performance while finding true peace and confidence. Case 2. David, 35, sales manager, battling scolding memories. David was born and raised in a Seattle suburb where his parents used strict discipline to raise him. Every time David was late studying or didn't complete a chore, he'd be loudly scolded with the phrase, "You must focus, don't be careless." The echo of that scolding deeply imprinted itself on the boy's mind, causing David to develop a defensive reflex. Even as an adult, he would wake up every time he heard a loud voice, whether in a movie or in a completely harmless context. Signs of unconscious fear. Startle reaction. During an online meeting, when a colleague spoke louder than usual, David suddenly gritted his teeth and almost slammed his keyboard, a reaction similar to when he was a boy afraid of his father's scolding. Pressure to avoid mistakes. Although he was the head of the company's sales department, David would rework presentations dozens of times, just to ensure there were no minor errors. Difficulty trusting and sharing. When a client offered critical feedback, David would often stay silent and lock himself in his office, waiting for the internal panic attack to subside before daring to confront the situation. These behaviors indicate that David's shadow and inner child had not been healed. His childhood fears still controlled his reactions. Inner child healing journey. Writing a letter responding to the voice in his memory. David wrote down the haunting phrase, "You must focus, don't be careless." Then continued, "That voice, although it came from my parents' worry, made me live in fear. Now I want to say, I understand my parents only wanted what was best for me, but I also need to be allowed to make mistakes and learn from them." Writing a letter to the past voice helped David create distance. From there, he allowed himself to correct mistakes without self-criticism. Embracing visualization exercise. David practiced a guided meditation exercise. Closing his eyes, he imagined returning to his 8th grade classroom, where his father was waiting. But this time, instead of scolding, he imagined his father putting an arm around him and saying, "I know you tried. We'll do it again together." The feeling of being hugged and understood spread, soothing the old pain. Weekly journaling prompts. Every Sunday, David asked, "What was the child within me afraid of this past week?" Then he wrote, "Afraid of making mistakes and being laughed at by colleagues." Next, he asked, "What made it feel safe?" and answered, "Constructive feedback instead of criticism." Through this exercise, David learned to distinguish between positive feedback and the critical scolding of his childhood. Sharing in a support group. No longer keeping silent, David attended an inner child circles, meetup for men, where people shared their childhood stories and received comfort. Seeing others who had also experienced similar scolding helped David feel less alone and learned to be more compassionate with himself. Initial results. After 6 weeks of consistent practice, David noticed he no longer startled when he heard a loud voice. He dared to express his opinions frankly in meetings and viewed mistakes as learning opportunities, not an end. David's inner child, when empowered to speak and receive care, helped him release fear, develop mature self-confidence, and better manage his emotions. Case 3, 2024 survey, when childhood tears become invisible pressure. In 2024, a U.S. psychological research organization conducted a survey with over 1 in 200 adults, aged 25-45, about the impact of childhood memories on their psychological well-being and current decisions. The results showed that 70% of respondents admitted that emotions or events from childhood still significantly influenced how they reacted to stress, relationships, and work. Detailed data analysis. Link between childhood criticism and current self-doubt. 65% of participants with a history of harsh childhood criticism reported that they often set perfect standards for themselves, leading to stress and insomnia. Many shared that despite their success with advanced degrees or stable job positions, they still felt never good enough. Pressure in personal relationships. 58% of respondents admitted that the fear of rejection or not being accepted made it difficult for them to open up in love and friendship. When they had to share deep emotions, they often hesitated or hid them, fearing that their tender heart would be further wounded. Coping with failure. 72% of people said that whenever they experienced failure at work, even a small mistake, they felt transported back to childhood, with feelings of shame and being scolded. This led some to avoid taking on difficult tasks, preferring to prevent risks rather than confronting them directly. Healing potential. Among those who had tried journaling or meditative reflection on memories, over 40% reported feeling reduced anxiety and improved sleep after only 3 weeks of practice. Representative stories from the survey. Anna, 32, a graphic designer in Chicago. Anna recounted that every time she faced a tight deadline, the fear of criticism from her boss would resurface, reminding her of her parents' voices scolding her for incomplete assignments. Every time I feel pressure, my heart tightens, my hands shake, she shared. When Anna started journaling with the prompt, "What is the child within me afraid of today?" she wrote, "Today I'm afraid of messing up the project, afraid of my boss scolding me." Then she asked, "What makes me feel safe?" and answered, "A word of encouragement, just a simple, 'I trust you.'" This simple action helped Anna realize she was repeating a past pattern of self-abuse, and gradually she learned to say, "I'm okay," before hiding her worries. Mark, 40, a university lecturer in Boston. Mark was an orphan who lost his mother early, growing up with hardship and a lack of affection. He shared, "Even as a professor, every time I have to present in front of a crowd, I tremble like a boy, afraid of his teacher's scolding." When he participated in an inner child healing workshop, Mark spent time meditating, imagining himself being hugged by his mother, hearing words of love. As a result, he said, "I'm no longer afraid to stand in front of the class as before, but feel protected and motivated to inspire students." Lessons from Case 3. The numbers show that most of us carry an unhealed inner child. Old memories are not just nostalgia. They directly influence current emotions and behaviors. Healing methods through consistent journaling and guided meditation have proven effective in reducing anxiety and increasing confidence in just a few weeks. The 2024 survey not only provided data, but also painted a common picture of an essential need. Each of us needs to take time to connect with and nurture our inner child, so we are no longer haunted by childhood cries. Case 4. Inner Child Healing. Workshop, 6 weeks of emotional rebirth from childhood. In Palo Alto, California, a warm space at the Mindbridge Psychological Center brought together 20 individuals, 25-40 years old, to participate in a 6-week inner child healing workshop led by expert Maya Chen. The goal was not just to revisit memories, but to build bricks of belief and love for the inner child, so they could move forward with confidence and peace. Weeks 1 and 2, opening the attic room. First, the group gathered in a bright room, sunlight filtering through thin curtains. Maya invited everyone to sit in a circle, each holding a journaling notebook and a box of colors. The journaling prompt began. Write your first greeting to your 8-year-old self. Lisa, 29, nervously wrote, "Hello, my dear. Mom is here and always loves you." Her voice choked, her eyes teary. Then they drew their most memorable summer day. Yellow sand, crashing waves, carefree smiles. Sketching with colors helped happy memories flood back, like throwing open the windows of a long dark room. Weeks 3 and 4, contacting the darkness. In the third week, the atmosphere softened to enter the shadow realm. Maya led a 10-minute meditation, inviting everyone to close their eyes and imagine an old classroom with a wooden desk and a chalk-dusted blackboard. When a simulated bell rang, they listened to the tick-tock echoing in their bodies, making everyone feel the image of a strict teacher and the fear of being scolded. Next, a deeper journaling session asked, "When you heard scolding, how did the child within you react?" In silence, the rustling of pens on paper, then each person shared feelings of a racing heart, a dry throat. From there, the small group discussed ways to soothe. If I were hugged or heard "I understand you," the wound would lessen. Week 5, rewriting the script. Entering the 5th week, the space was decorated with paintings they had created earlier. Each member held an 8-year-old's letter to themselves, then responded with a current letter. "Dearest, I promise to always protect you and give you free laughter every day." They then sketched changed conversations. For example, when the 8-year-old heard scolding, instead of just being scolded, she now heard praise like, "You did great," and was then led to play outside. The act of creating new scripts was a way to reestablish happy endings for memories. Week 6, integration and moving forward. In the final week, the group journaled, "What does my inner child need today?" before each night. Maya guided a short 5-minute meditation, closing their eyes and listening to a whisper, "Are you okay?" They also planned self-care. Each person chose nurturing activities, drawing, walking in the park, listening to childhood songs. Finally, a small graduation ceremony took place, where everyone exchanged handwritten cards of encouragement for the journey ahead. Transformational results: 40% reduction in anxiety. The group's GAD-7 score decreased from 14.2 to 8.5. 35% increase in confidence. The self-esteem scale increased from 22.7 to 30.7. 95% satisfaction. Everyone felt the journey was safe and meaningful. Ongoing stories. Sarah, 28, shared, "It was the first time I could say I'm proud of you to the boy within." And James, 36, said, "Responding to my 8-year-old self helped me stop blaming myself for small mistakes." Beyond the numbers, it was these moments, the gentle scratch of a pen on paper, teary eyes, shared hugs, that testified to the magic of inner child healing. When the inner child was comforted, they learned to set healthy boundaries, face failure with compassion, and step into each new day with a lighter heart and greater confidence. The profound impact of inner child healing, bridging the conscious and unconscious. As we've explored the 4 cases, from Emily with her perfection pressure, David haunted by childhood scolding, the 70% of adults carrying childhood fears, to the workshop group in California, a common thread emerges. If we don't heal the inner child within, we will continue to repeat painful childhood scripts, regardless of our stage in life. This section will delve into the psychological mechanisms and reasons why inner child healing brings about profound change. 1. Bringing conscious light into the unconscious. Jung asserted that what is not brought to consciousness comes to us as fate. The inner child resides in the unconscious, where unresolved memories, emotions, and needs are stored. When we write letters, draw memories, or engage in guided meditations, we are essentially shining a flashlight into those hidden corners. The light of consciousness helps us understand the root causes of anxiety, self-doubt, or overreactions, allows us to truly face our pain instead of merely concealing it behind a persona or escaping into the shadow. For instance, when Emily wrote the letter to her 10-year-old self, she not only comforted the past but also transformed the message of "no mistakes allowed" into "every failure is a lesson." 2. Releasing suppressed creative energy. The inner child is a source of pure, creative, and innocent energy. When this part is suppressed, that energy accumulates as stress, burnout, and inner depletion. Drawing memory pictures, creative journaling, or recreating scenarios not only heals pain but also unlocks motivation. New ideas and inspirations emerge when you allow the child within to play again. reconnects with primal joy. Like the laughter of a child in memory, it helps you feel life has more meaning. After the workshop, many participants shared new personal project ideas, from poems and paintings to plans for growing small vegetable gardens, all stemming from allowing their inner child to frolic freely. 3. Balancing persona and shadow through individuation. If the persona is the mask that helps us adapt to society, then the shadow is the darkness containing negative reactions. Individuation, according to Jung, is the process of integrating both with the self, which includes the inner child. When you heal the child within, the persona becomes lighter, no longer rigidly needing to maintain a perfect image, but accepting the expression of emotions. The shadow becomes less intense, because fear and anger are no longer unconsciously suppressed. You achieve a state of inner stability, where all reactions originate from balance, not from hidden pain. After the workshop, David no longer startled when he heard a loud voice. Instead, he listened to feedback with openness and calm. 4. Enhancing self-confidence and inner strength. One of the most impressive results for both individuals and groups was a significant increase in self-esteem and confidence. When the inner child hears encouragement, even from yourself through a letter or self-affirmation, you begin to believe, I am worthy of love and acceptance. Journaling habits asking, what is the child within you afraid of? What makes it feel safe? Help you discover your inner needs instead of living by external expectations. Sarah, who shared, the letter to my 8-year-old self helped me understand I deserve to be proud, is now more confident in receiving both praise and constructive criticism. 5. Sustainable practice, an ongoing journey. Unlike a short-term therapy, inner child healing is a continuous process, daily meditation and journaling. Just 5 to 10 minutes each morning or evening to listen to your inner voice. Regular self-care activities, drawing, walking in the park, listening to childhood songs, like a remedy to reconnect with the child within. Sharing spaces, joining groups or communities to maintain motivation and receive support when needed. When you turn small practices into habits, each day becomes an opportunity for your inner child to grow in confidence, and you move closer to comprehensive harmony. Addressing common concerns and encouraging your healing journey. Common concerns. Many people hesitate when they hear about healing the inner child because they fear having to dig up painful memories, fear that the pain will resurface stronger, or worry that without professional guidance, they'll get lost in their emotions and be further harmed. Addressing these fears. Gradual, safe approach. You don't need to immediately confront your most severe memories. Starting activities, like gently answering the prompt, what is the child within you afraid of today? Drawing happy memories, or writing a letter with loving messages, are designed to help you slowly open the attic room without being overwhelmed by darkness. Community support. Workshops and journaling groups create safe environments where all emotions are respected. Sharing experiences with others who relate helps you realize you're not alone and learn more ways to soothe your inner child through practical advice. Simple, non-expert guidance. The journaling prompts and guided meditation exercises come with detailed instructions, allowing you to practice at home independently. You can absolutely start with 5 to 10 minutes each day. Observe your feelings and stop if you feel it's too heavy. Comfort and encouragement. Start with self-love. Treat yourself as a confidant. When a journaling question arises, what does the 8-year-old girl in me need most today? Answer with the gentlest words. You are not alone. I am always here. Respect your personal pace. Each of us has different emotional thresholds. If today you only write 1 line, that's still progress. Tomorrow you might add a drawing. Accept all emotions. Crying, anger, confusion. All are natural reactions. Allow yourself to experience them, then gently let them go. You'll find your heart lighter. Rest assured, embarking on the journey of nurturing your inner child is not a solo adventure in the dark, but a journey taken with your own companionship and that of a community, moving towards lasting peace and confidence. We've collectively explored each fragment of the inner child, from the personal stories of Emily and David, the real data from the 2024 survey, to the profound healing journey through the Inner Child Healing Workshop. All point to one truth: the child within you is always present, carrying childhood dreams and pains. When we ignore this small part, the unconscious will drive you through reactions of fear, self-doubt, or uncontrollable emotional outbursts, no matter how outwardly perfect you may seem. But the good news is, healing the inner child isn't just about the past. It's a journey of bringing conscious light into the unconscious, so that every day you live fully with your true self-worth. Writing a letter to your 10-year-old self, redrawing memories, or answering simple journaling questions. All are initial steps in connecting with and nurturing your inner source of creativity, happiness, and self-confidence. When you allow the child within to be heard and loved, you not only soothe old wounds, but also awaken inner strength to face challenges, build healthy relationships, and pursue your authentic aspirations. It is the harmony between the light of consciousness, the darkness of the unconscious, and the tender voice of the inner child that will create a complete symphony of the soul. Remember, this journey doesn't require haste. Every small step, spending 5 minutes journaling, sketching a few lines, meditating for 10 minutes, contributes to rekindling pure joy and strengthening self-esteem. When you no longer let old fears hold you back, your inner and outer lives will harmonize, bringing you true peace, happiness, and confidence. Embracing and nurturing your inner child is the key to living a more authentic, empowered, and joyful life. We've journeyed through inner child healing, from the quiet cries of childhood, unconscious fears, to the process of writing letters, drawing memories, and meditative rescripting. Before we conclude this video, let's take a few minutes to look within ourselves and choose a new beginning. Please comment below with a sentence, a short paragraph, or even an emoji. For example, I want to tell my 9-year-old self, I believe you'll be okay. My parents' words still echo, but now I want to say, you deserve to be loved. A emoji if you've felt that inner love. Each of your comments is not just a personal share, but also a beacon for others who are lost and seeking their way back to themselves. When you open your heart, you spread the magic of healing to the entire community. If you're watching this video to find ways to heal your inner child, don't hesitate. Start practicing now. Write a short letter, 3 to 5 minutes. Take time to write a letter to your 8 to 10-year-old self. Don't worry about the words. Let your emotions guide you. Quick memory drawing, 5 to 10 minutes. Use crayons or watercolors to sketch your most beautiful or scariest memory, focusing on feelings and colors. Journaling prompt. What does the inner child within you need most today? Write continuously for 100 to 150 words, without overthinking, just writing. You'll be surprised to immediately feel a sense of relief and a spark of joy igniting within you. Save your work, your journal, your drawing, your letter, and review it after a week. Have you felt a change? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If this video has offered you new insights or useful exercises for your inner child, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Practice daily self-care. Habits. Inner child, healing isn't a 3-day wonder, but a sustained journey. Every habit, even for just 5 to 10 minutes, holds immense value. Early morning, ask the prompt, what does the child within me need today? Noon, close your eyes for 2 minutes of mindfulness meditation, embracing inner love. Evening, write 1 to 2 lines about the self-care activity you did for your inner child. When you repeat these, your mind and body will remember the comforting and protective message, turning your inner child into a supportive partner, no longer a burden from the past. The inner child. Healing journey doesn't end with this video. Let this channel become your companion journal. Each video will be a new journal page, exploring other archetypes, persona, shadow, anima, animus, and ultimately, the self. Each of your shares will contribute to a collective picture of healing and personal growth.